What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to part 3 of Pelé in Football Manager. Of course, this has been the first of our FM19 simulates with legends in the game, seeing how some of the football greats of the past get on in modern football. If you've missed the first 2 parts in this Pelé series, I encourage you to go check them out on the channel. Today, as you can see, we have gone forward 3 years since the end of last episode. The year is 2029. Pelé is 28 years old. He's been at Manchester United for a good few years now, and while he is pretty much in his prime, he's probably not going to get any better than this. And I mean, looking at him, what an incredible player he has become. His goal-scoring record on the international stage, superb, valued at £90 million, £325,000 a week wages. Of course, at the end of last episode, he had just moved to Manchester United. You can see since then he's had 2 seasons at them in full, as well as obviously that season that we were halfway through kind of at the end of last episode. Looking at it, he missed quite a lot of football in 27-28, but regardless, still averaged a 7.58 average rating. In his most recent season as well, 12 goals, 13 assists, 7 player of the matches. Probably the worst stats he's had over these last 2 years, which is really kind of saying something. When you compare that to his early years, the numbers that he's always put in have been pretty ridiculous when he was carrying Inter Milan. And, well, they are still incredible numbers now, but compared to what he was doing at PSG, not quite the same. Anyway, how have Manchester United been getting on? You can see, actually, they finished first in 26-27, but in the last 2 years, they finished 5th and 4th. Pelé is their vice-captain and key player, but he's just not carrying them enough, as it turns out. Let's have a look at his career milestone, shall we? So, since he joined Manchester United, we should have a look at landmarks, really, shouldn't we? We can see here he won the Community Shield, the Carabao Cup in his first year, and the Premier League. But since then, the only thing that they've won is the Carabao Cup again in 2029. So not a whole lot of silverware he's achieved at Manchester United. In terms of awards, I wish there was a way to filter out the Player of the Weeks here. But you can see here FIFA's best men's player. He is still yet to win it. Of course, he finished runner-up a load of times behind Mbappe. We had a regen takeover happen in the most recent years, as you can see here. But yeah, Pelé still yet to win the best player in the world, the men's player of the year. In terms of the Ballon d'Or, yeah, he's still yet to get on there at all, which is kind of crazy, actually. Obviously, no, actually, I lied. In 2023, he got it, but I expect him to be more dominant than he has been. Still trailing behind Kylian Mbappe, who, of course, is 30 years old. They're kind of the same generation in a lot of ways. I feel like if Pelé was to coexist in this universe, he probably would be compared quite a lot to Mbappe. You can see when the supporters player of the year, that really isn't going to give him much in the way of a silver lining. He won the, we'll just call it the Sudamericano Copa America. But this international tournament, I'm not familiar with this international tournament. I assume it's for maybe, I was going to say maybe it's for South American teams, but then there's a Mexico B team. Although, actually, from managing in Mexico for the Pentagon Challenge, I'm aware of how Mexico likes to be part South American, part North American when it comes to these things. Either way, Brazil won it in 2028, which is a good little achievement, really. And he was the best player and the top goal scorer. In terms of Pelé, though, I thought he'd be doing a little bit more than he's been doing so far. Of course, he had that season where he was out. Did he get an injury there? Okay, he got damaged cruciate ligaments for 7 months. So that was a pretty severe injury. He's actually been relatively injury-free. Lots of little injuries, but only that one massive one that's really, impacted him. That might go a little way to explaining why Manchester United missed out on the Champions League that year. If you look at when he got that injury, when was it? It was in March. So actually that was the latter half of the year in 2027, I think it was. So if we look here, did they tail off at the end? Not that I can really spot. I think that might have just been by chance, to be honest. In terms of Champions Leagues, they got knocked out in the quarter-final a couple of years ago. The year before that, the semi-finals, they lost into Real Madrid. And just last season, wow, okay, they were in the Europa League and they got knocked out by Valencia in the first knockout round. That is actually horrific. Let's just have a quick look at this Manchester United squad for those of you curious. Of course, lots of regens coming in now. Lucas Paqueta has made the move over from PSG to join him. here at United. They've got Dele Alli, aged 33, obviously a load of regens as well. There's a few names I recognise here, but yeah, an ageing squad at United. The thing is, Pelé's still got a number of years left in him, so I expect to see him continue to perform well. Will be interesting to see if he sticks out United, tries to win more stuff with them, or maybe tries to move to a club who are challenging more for silverware. Yeah, it will be interesting. Of course, World Cup next year as well. I think this time we will go forward another 3 years. We'll go and see how Pelé's looking at the age of 31. And yeah, let's see if he can get some more silverware at United. Okay guys, so here we are, Pelé, 31 years old. This is probably where we're going to start to see him come on a bit of a come down. You can see his speed and his physicals are declining, but the rest of his technicals and just his overall footballing ability is still very much there. He's surpassed 100 caps, which is impressive. I feel like Neymar might already be above 100 caps in real life. I don't know if he's retired yet in this save. Looks like he has, but yeah, you can see here he got 144 caps in total. Will be interesting to see how close Pelé can get to that. In the last 3 years, you can see he has stayed at Manchester United. That's the first thing worth noting, I guess. And his performances have stepped up, actually. He only managed 31 appearances 3 years ago, but got 12 goals and 13 assists. The year after that, one of his best seasons ever, especially at United at least. 17 goals, 17 assists. That's a little more impressive, I feel like, than some of the seasons he did at PSG, given the fact that obviously it was PSG playing in Ligue 1. And in the most recent season, again, he's performed very, very well at United. If we look at their last few seasons, they actually won the league back-to-back years. This most recent year, they finished third. He's not considered their key player anymore. This guy is Mariano Del Giglio. I mean, interesting. This guy looks very, very good, actually, doesn't he? But, well, Pelé, not the key player anymore. I guess that's a sign of things to come. He's going to start to tail off on the whole. If we just look at the World Cup, the holders are Argentina. Past winners, so in 2030, Brazil, they didn't even get in the top 3 looking at it here. That is particularly disappointing. I thought Brazil, honestly, would challenge a lot more. Obviously, they got runner-up in 2022, but Germany have been very strong. Of course, this year, Germany correctly licensed in-game. So they have their actual real national team, which is obviously fantastic because prior to this year, it's not been a thing in Football Manager. But it does make them very good on the national stage, and Brazil perhaps some of the victims of that. If we just look at their schedule... Where did they come? They got to the semi-final and they lost after extra time to Argentina. You can see here. We can't view the game because it was a few years ago. They then took on Portugal and lost 2-1 in the 3rd, 4th place playoff. Looking at it here, Pelé scored against Wales, a weird team for him to score against, I guess. And he did also get a penalty against Egypt, but he didn't score on the big stage. You can see they got through against China after, well, extra time. Are China any good in this? Do China have good players? They don't have great players. So a bit of a surprise they struggled so much there. It looks like there were some high-scoring matches. But yeah, they couldn't make it count. They did win the Super Clásico de las Américas. I butchered that. I apologise to my South American viewers. He did get a goal in that game. It was the goal that, well, got them to the penalty shootout, which they won. But yeah, they did okay there, didn't they? I don't know if we can see the penalty scorers. You can see Pelé actually missed, so he was let off the hook just a little bit. In terms of career milestones, if we just look at competitions, has he won anything more with United? It looks like he may well have won some stuff. Obviously, last time we were here was 2029. So they won that Premier League and the Carabao Cup. They then finished 4th place at the World Cup, of course, and United finished runners-up in the FA Cup. They won the Premier League. They came runners-up in the Champions League last year as well. Didn't win it, but got closer. And I guess that's something. If we just look at past winners, you can see finished runner-up, and that's the first time that they've even got close. Disappointing regardless, but yeah, Pelé not quite enough in that most recent season to get them the win. If we just go to this game, can we have a look at it in detail? How did they lose it? 1-0 against Real Madrid. Did Pelé play? Did he actually got subbed off in the game? It looks like he might have been coming back from injury. In terms of injuries, I noticed that he's missed a few games here and there, but it looks like he stayed relatively injury-free. We just look at most recent injuries. A few little knocks here and there, but nothing of the same calibre as that 7-month injury he got 5 years ago now, which I think would have impacted him just a little bit. You can see media description is a legendary player at this point, not entirely surprising. In terms of awards, you can have a look through these here. He's finished runners-up again in the FIFA Men's Best Player. I feel a little bit bad for him. I was really hoping he might win it. Has he won the Ballon d'Or any more recently? He has not, and actually, looking at it, Mbappe has won it in the last few years as well. Despite all the regens coming through, Mbappe still reigning strong, it seems, in world football. What a career he's had, just sticking it out at PSG for so many years. And look at the numbers he's put in compared to Pelé. Obviously, the league is different, but regardless, there is a real rivalry there that Mbappe just seems to be edging him out in. So, realistically, Pelé maybe has one more World Cup in him, aged 33. I think that might be his last chance. We'll go forward to, I think, 2034, or 2035 actually, July, just after the 2000. Yeah, we'll go forward to 2035, I think. We'll see how he's getting on. At 34 years old, I'd be surprised if he's still at United. He'll definitely be in his decline, but he will have played in his last World Cup, unless he's going to play another one. At a very, very old age, which I can't see happening, age 37. So yeah, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a second. Okay guys, so we are back, and well, the future can be cruel on you. His legs have just gone in the last 3 years. You can see, still considered an elite attacking midfielder, not surpassed Neymar's caps. Is he still in the Brazil squad now? He might be aged 34, but he'll certainly be in the process of being phased out. But yeah, you can see here, still at Manchester United. He's still got one more deal on his contract. We may go forward just once more this episode just to see what age he retires. But yeah, looking at it here, Pelé looks like he's had a few more injury problems actually. Only managed 5 goals and 2 assists in 2032-33. That is just so far off the pace. May also be playing centre mid. You can see actually in the last 3 years, he's not the superstar he once was. What was that injury that he probably got in 2033? If we have a look here, yeah, damaged Achilles tendon injury. That is what has wrecked him the most. He's also had a few other issues with shin splints more recently. So, yeah, those injuries combined seem like they probably finished him off in a way, which is a little bit of a shame. If we just look at Manchester United, they have won the Premier League once since we were last here. In terms of the last World Cup, let's take a real quick look at this. The holders are France. We've not even won a World Cup. Germany came runners-up again. Where did Brazil go wrong, I guess, in the World Cup? Where did they end up? They got knocked out in the second round to Belgium. Sorry, that is awful. They did beat Austria, and Pelé did score on that game. They also beat Qatar 7-0. But yeah, that first knockout round kind of loss is going to be a real sucker blow to him, and I can't see him playing another World Cup at this point. I thought he might be able to play to 37 if he avoided injury, and he just hasn't. If we look at milestones and landmark awards, you can see here, of course, won that Premier League. Have they won anything else? They won the Confederations Cup, Brazil, so he has won some silverware with Brazil of note. But yeah, not appearing anywhere in the Champions League either, which is perhaps a little bit surprising. Obviously, he had that previous success at PSG, so he has won it, but you would expect Manchester United to make a real go of it. Who is the manager of Manchester United at the moment? They've got Allegri in at the moment with Pelé. I assume Pelé's probably playing in like a centre attacking mid position. Yeah, you can see here he's playing in the dead centre of the team. But yeah, his legs have just completely gone. In terms of awards, did he win anything like of real significance? It looks like he struggled. He's won, in terms of the Premier League, has he won Footballer of the Year? He won Footballer of the Year actually on a few times in the Premier League. You can see the last few years he's been nowhere near it. In terms of Player of the Season, he won it a few times there as well, but not quite living it up, I guess, as I expected he might do in the Premier League. You know, moving there in his prime, he's had how many seasons? Like 9 or 10 seasons now at United. And what does he have? Three Premier League medals, I think? Maybe 4? Yeah, 3, I think it is, looking at it there. That is a little underwhelming. I expected Pelé to carry Manchester United a little bit more there, especially for £143 million. I mean, regardless, the performances he's put in have been great. But yeah, he really peaks early, I feel like. We'll quickly just have a look at his biography, I think, and then we'll go forward to see when he retires. But yeah, you can see here, obviously, you can pause and have a real read through this. I'm sure there's stuff that I've missed going through this experiment over the previous 2 parts that's here. So if you spot anything that I missed, leave it down in the comments. And yeah, guys, we'll go forward once more. We'll see how his career ended up. And yeah, don't go anywhere. Okay, guys, so here we are at the end. Pelé, he retired just 1 year later, actually, at Manchester United. Decided to retire in his prime and not stay in football. Obviously, in real life, he went on to play for New York Cosmos for a few years towards the end of his career. None of that here. Decided to hang up his boots, didn't want to drop down any leagues. I mean, looking at his career here, pretty tremendous. 558 appearances, 221 goals. Surprisingly loyal. I thought he might leave Manchester United after a little while, but he really did stick it out there. Given the fact he only gave Inter 4 years and PSG 4 years, the fact he stuck it out for United for as long as he has is kind of worth, I think, noting. I think if I mouse over here, maybe it'll show his awards won. Maybe it doesn't. That's unfortunate. Oh, no, on the team screen, it does. We can't see any other history about him, but I mean, you can have a read through this here. Obviously, we've got some more legends on the horizon. My next one is going to be Maradona. I'm thinking I might open a monthly vote on my Patreon where people can vote for a short list of legends, and maybe we'll do one of those or something. I'd be interested to know if you're a Patreon supporter. I'll probably raise it as an idea what you think of that. And yeah, I do hope you've enjoyed this first experiment with Pelé in FM. Next time out, it's going to be Maradona. If you've got a legend that you'd like to see in the future, leave it down in the comments. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.